Hi, it's Mark from Top Local. We're here with Bernie Pawlik. Pawlik Automotive in Vancouver, 18-time winners of Best Auto Repair in Vancouver, as voted by their customers. How are you doing, Bernie?
I'm doing very well.
So we're going to talk about a Toyota Sienna, a little bit of an older one, to 2004, and you had to do a sliding door repair. What was happening with this van?
Well, this is a full-featured Toyota Sienna van with all the nice power-operated sliding doors. So there's a button inside if you're sitting in the seats. Of course, not while you're driving, it won't operate. But when you're stopped and it's in park or your vehicle's off, you can push a button and the door goes and opens up. And you can push the button again and the door closes. You can also do the doors with the key fob, so it's very handy when you got a child in one arm and a bag of groceries. And the other, well, I'm not sure the other hand, but if you got a kid in one arm, you can hit a button. Door pops open, you can plunk them in the car seat, which is absolutely fantastic. So the passenger side door would not operate in the push button mode. You could manually pull a handle and the door would open, and the power operation still worked, and it would power close, but with the button it would not operate.
So how do you diagnose a concern like this?
Well, we start with connecting a scan tool. There are electronics inside the door, and as you'll see in a video I'm going to show in a few minutes, it's actually extremely complex inside this door. But there are electronics associated with it, so we can get some diagnostic trouble codes and information. But what it really came down to with this particular vehicle is actually opening the door, taking the door panel off, looking at the mechanism, and just getting familiar with what operates the vehicle and what components actually control that power operation, and then testing individual components.
And what did you find was wrong with the door?
What was wrong with this door is that there's an actuator motor that actually pulls the door latch open, much like it basically attaches to the same section of the door latch as your door handle would do, but instead this is an electric motor. So that motor was dead, and that's what was causing the issue. So I'm just going to share a video here of the inside of the door and how it works. And I apologize, the video is a little on the dark side, but it kind of gives you an idea what's inside this door and what moves and how it works. So here we go. And I'll just talk in comments. So that's the door latch. The actual actuator motor that was problematic is this piece here. And in a little while, you'll see this is actually the door panel installed with the new motor in. So that's the problem right there. This is panning through the door. So there's another motor back there that actually moves the door back and forth. Here's the control unit for the door. You can see there's a lot of wiring involved in this piece. And just to put it in perspective, this is only the passenger door. This is the driver's door as well. So this is the door in operation. You can see the latch move there. Door opening, little view of our dirty wall of our shop, and the door closing. So there's a lot of cables, rods, actuators, a lot of pieces here. It's as you can see, it's extremely complex. And I'm back.
So it looks awfully complicated. Did this turn out to be a pretty expensive repair?
It did actually be. It was a very expensive repair, and I like this example because typically we tend to think that when you own a high-end European car like a Mercedes or BMW, you're spending an awful lot of money to repair it, whereas if you own a Toyota, you're not spending so much. But in the case of this vehicle, this repair came out to about I think it was somewhere. It was well over $1,000 to repair this. Now the motor was a few $100s, but what made the repair so expensive? There was some diagnostic costs involved. But what made the repair so expensive was actually the way it was built. That motor, stupidly, is actually bolted in from the back side of that. There's a big panel about 1.5 feet long with all the actuators and rods, and they actually bolt that panel on. But the motor that we replaced was actually bolted from the back side of the panel. So you have to take the window out of the door. You have to pull the panel off, and then from there you have to undo the screws. But the screws are tiny, and they're actually basically Loctited to the bolts. We have to cut the screws off. Just like way too much work involved. They could have bolted the piece on the outside of the panel. Really simple repair, but I mean, it would have saved the customer $400 or $500 in labor if it was done that way. So, anyways, it was an expensive repair, and as I say, it's an example of people ask me, well, what kind of car should I buy? What's cheapest to fix? Well, generally, if you're avoiding a luxury European car, you're saving on cost, but it's not always true. Sometimes the Japanese car can end up being far more expensive than the more expensive European car. And the other thing about this vehicle, this is the complexity of having those luxury features of, you hit a button and the door opens. Well, if you didn't have that feature, if you just had the manual slide open door, you wouldn't have this problem. So if you can avoid those power options, it'll save you a lot of money in the long run. But I mean, I agree. I like the power options. They're nice to have. There's just a price to be paid for them.
So is this a fairly typical for power doors?
Yeah, they're all basically like that. They all have those extra mechanisms in there to operate. And I'd say this one seems a little extra complicated compared to some. But yeah, I mean, typically these are the components that need to be in there. There's motors to move the doors. There's a motor, of course, to open the door. And so, yeah, this is pretty typical of what you'd find on any vehicle with a power sliding door.
Sure. So you've spoken very highly over a number of videos about Toyotas and their reliability. Does this change your opinion of Toyota?
No, not at all. I mean, this is and this is a 2004, as you mentioned earlier. It's a 13-year-old vehicle at this point. Things are bound to break down and wear out. My only opinion, as I mentioned a few minutes ago, is it was kind of stupidly built the way they put this together. A little less thoughtful than usual for something like a Toyota, I find. But overall, they're still great vehicles, and again, 13 years, very reliable. I'm sure this door has been opened and closed hundreds or thousands of times in that lifespan. So it's pretty good.
So there you go. If you're looking for service for your Toyota Sienna in Vancouver, the guys to see are Pawlik Automotive. You can reach them at 604-327-7112 to book your appointment. You have to book ahead. They're busy. Or check out their website, pawlikautomotive.com, our YouTube channel. Search for Pawlik Automotive Repair, or our new Car Truth Show channel, where we talk about cars and what kind of cars you should be buying. Thanks, Bernie.
Thanks, Mark.